Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the More Wine and Music podcast, where we uncork great stories and pair them with the perfect glass. I'm your host, Harriet Westmore, and today we'll be diving into the sun-soaked harmonies of one of the most iconic groups of the 60s. And I'm going to be talking about the Mamas and the Papas. You know, their music defined an era, blending folk, pop, and rock into something timeless. And because we're all about pairing, today's suggestion of wine is a crisp California Chardonnay that is bright, refreshing, and full of character, just like the group we're going to be celebrating today. So let's take a trip back to the summer of love. Before we talk about their songs, let's talk about the group themselves. The story begins around the mid-60s, where couple John Phillips and Michelle Phillips were deeply rooted into the folk scene. They loved, and if you hear some of their earlier songs before the group actually came together, they really had a very great harmony. They also, John heard another singer, male singer, which was a Canadian singer, Denny Doherty. And he was also a part of another group. And again, his voice and the blending of the sounds of the group that he was in really caught John's eye. So he asked Denny to join the group. Denny was very good friends with Cass Elliot, even prior for the group to get together. And so, you know, Denny asked John, he told Denny about Cass, and her voice would be a perfect blend to the group. So Cass had seen them and really wanted to join the group, but John wasn't really, at first, wasn't too keen on having her in the group. I don't know, because of, he said it was because he wasn't really impressed with her voice at first. But she really wanted to be part of the group. But John and Michelle and Denny, they were kind of piddling around, the LA, California, Sacramento area. Really wasn't making that much money. So they decided to just kind of take a hiatus and go to the Virgin Islands. And who was in the Virgin Islands was Cass Elliot. And so John invited, eventually he was talked into, allowing Cass to at least, come into the group and just try her out. And he really liked, after a while, he really did like the vibe of what she was bringing. I mean, she was actually the voice of that group. But internally, the group had a lot of internal conflicts. First of all, John and Cass, they never really got along. That's because they both had strong personalities, and they buck head a lot of how the vision of how the songs were going. John was really the creative, the mastermind of the songs that came out. When they came back to LA, John and Michelle actually wrote California Dreamin'. And that was the song that really put them on the map. Followed by Monday Monday. So California Dreamin' was really their big break. Going back back to the internal conflicts that was in the group, they weren't just a band. They were a tangled web of relationships and egos. And at the center of it all was John Phillips. He was a perfectionist. His drive for control often clashed with the free-spirited nature of the others. There was other scandals that were within the group, and that was with Michelle, his wife. Michelle had an affair with Denny. That was a really heartbreaking and downfall between the friendship, because not only did Michelle and Denny had an affair, it really broke Cass's heart because, not only was Cass really good friends with Denny Doherty, she actually really was in love with him. And the fact that, Michelle and Denny had an affair, that really hurt her. And obviously with John, that hurt him too, because they were all not only bandmates, they were considered a family. Even though their personalities were all different, when they sang together, you can hear that blended harmony. They had an incredible blended harmony. So, it got so bad. How can you really work with each other after, something like that happened within the group? They tried, but the vibe just wasn't there anymore. So, and I saw while researching this, I saw, a few documentaries about them, and Michelle said herself that it got so bad that they, the other three, John, Cass, and Denny, pretty much sent her a letter, and pretty much giving her the boot. And that really, that really was a turning point for the group. It shook the foundation of the band, pretty much. So they decided to replace her, and they replaced her with Jill Gibson. Even though Jill was a great singer, the fans just didn't connect with the new lineup. And, pretty much John realized that. So eventually, he asked Michelle to return. But, it wasn't really like it was in the beginning. Coming back after the scandal of the affair and everything, it just pretty much wasn't the same between them. Meanwhile, Cass, who was the heart of the soul of the group and adored by her fans, she had the powerhouse voice and the charisma. But she always felt sidelined. Her ideals were reportedly dismissed by John. She was mostly all the time criticized about her weight, which she was deeply hurt about. But she continued to, remain loyal and continue to deliver, her performance. But adding to the pressure of the fame and the constant touring, the overwhelming drug use, you have a, recipe for disaster. And the cracks have gotten so deep to where the group just decided to disband in 1968. In that short year, between 66, I believe, into 68, maybe 60, I would say 65 into 68, 3 years. They delivered some great songs, but it just got too much, with the internal conflict they were going on. So they decided to disband. But their legacy still moves on, lives on. Their sound influenced a lot of other bands that were coming out. They influenced Fleetwood Mac, to modern indie bands of today. Their influence came from the Mamas and the Papas. So that was a short, biography about them. But I'm going to keep on because I want to talk about Cass Elliot herself. She was known as Mama Cass, which, really, honestly, she did not like that term. She didn't like that nickname. Again, that was a tribute to her weight. But after the breakup of the Mamas and the Papas, Cass Elliot, who really wanted to break out on her own anyway, she continued on. She released several albums, including Dream a Little Dream, and became a fixture on television's variety show. Not only she wanted to shed her image as being part of the Mamas and Papas, she wanted to be recognized as a serious soul artist. And, what she did. So let's dive more into her life after the Mamas and the Papas. She was more of a, not only was she was a folk singer, she also had that show tunes type style too. Her voice, she played show tune type songs, would quickly capture the audience. She, blended jazz, pop, cabaret type and Broadway type of songs. She always wanted to be taken seriously as a solo entertainer and not be defined by her past. She was on various television shows, between the 60s and the 70s. Variety shows was the thing. So she made appearances on the Johnny Cash show, the Carol Burnett show, the Michael Douglas show, and she even starred in her own Las Vegas cabaret style act. But that particular performance, according to documentary, that even though her promo was great, the promotion of her shows were great, the show itself was a flop, because she was actually sick. She wasn't feeling, she had the flu. Her voice wasn't the best. So the Las Vegas shows, I think she had like 2 or 3 shows that she had to do. And during that time, she was really, she wasn't feeling well. She had tonsillitis, and I think she had mono, and the flu. Prior to that, between 68 and 69, she was trying to lose weight. What she did, she lost 110 pounds. But as a result of that, and then the constant touring and everything, she really became sick, wasn't feeling well. So that was, the Las Vegas show was a lesson learned, but that didn't, deter her. Internally, she was lonely. She wanted to be in a loving relationship with someone. Unfortunately, the men that she was attracted to, they really weren't really attracted to her in a romantic way, and then that really hurt her. She wanted to have a family. She wanted to be married and have a family, but unfortunately she didn't find the right person. But she was determined to be a mother, even if she wanted to had to be a single mom. And so in 1967, I believe, she gave birth to a daughter. At the age of 26, she had her daughter. Her name was Owen. But the mystery was nobody knew who the father was. She wanted to keep that, secret. She wanted to, just have her baby. She wasn't going to be married or be in a committed relationship. She will be a mother, and that's what she determined to do. And she had Owen, and she never revealed who the father was. Her, despite of having, it was a joy to have her daughter, but she still was dealing with a lot of internal struggles. First of all, the weight issue. She was also dealing with depression and anxiety. She just actually she really had low self-esteem about herself. So that was always an internal struggle. Even though, the fans loved her, everybody loved her voice. She did have a very, nice voice. It still she wasn't satisfied with that. She also, as a single mom, she had to be out there and work. And anybody who was an entertainer or artist, or even, not in that lifestyle, as a single parent, you still have to provide for your children. So she had to work. So she wasn't with her daughter as much as she would like to be. And, that really bothered her as well. But I mean, what do you do? She has to work. She also had financial burden. There was just, she was just constantly on the go. And, it finally took a toll on her. In 1974, she was in London. She had to play a 2-day show at the Palladium in London, England. And she was, she wasn't feeling well. Again, I think she did, but she was able to do her show. She did her 2 shows. But on July 29th of 1974, Cass Elliot was found dead in her, I think in her hotel. And even with her death, there were, rumors around. I mean, just, looking back at it, it was kind of, cruel. That she died eating, choking on a ham sandwich, which was, I remember hearing that as a kid, hearing that rumor of how she actually died, and that was a kind of a cruel testament to her body weight. But actually, she had a heart attack. So it wasn't anything that she choked on any type of ham sandwich and or something like that. She actually had a heart attack because of her weight, her constant yo-yo of weight loss and weight gain, and the constant pressure of working and continuing to work, not taking care of herself. She died at the age of 32. But Cass was deserved to be remembered for the truth. She was a resilient woman. She was hilarious. She was powerful. And one of the most emotionally impressive vocalists at her time. Her journey after the Mamas and Papa wasn't just a footnote. It was a full chapter. And we should remember her as, one of, not only, with the Mamas and Papas, but as her own, as a soloist, as an individual in her own right. So there you have it. 1960s, the Mamas and the Papas. Afterwards, Cass Elliot. So if you like this type of podcast, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And we are going to be continuing on with the 1960s era. And I will talk with you next week. Bye.